So right now we are listening about documentation. It's a glaring example. Whatever sir will speak, he will document.
He'll also publish it. Namaskaram. Namaskaram. When somebody says Namaskaram, responding back Namaskaram is Bharatiya Samskaram.
So respond, Namaskar.
I am here because of one lady who invited me for a program in Kolkata a few months back, in which he happens to be there in the audience. And Rakhi happened to be. Where is Rakhi?
Dr. Rakhi was there.
Yeah, she's the one who called me and said there is a conference like this and you have to make it. So I said yes. Having said yes, I thought I should come. And now I realized why I am being called here, because you need a layman among experts, right? Correct? You're not responding. Is it that all the ethical people are very serious? I found Nandini, the Dr. Nandini, the chair is very serious. Dr. Lalitha is much more serious. Yeah? And the whole purpose of life is to enjoy, right? I was talking to the youngsters who came to this college to take graduation. I was telling them, life is live in full enjoyment. You can Google DrTPS life. Live in full enjoyment. And students learn in full enjoyment. Life. And most of my books and poems are on life. I believe not to be very serious. That's why I left my job as scientist from Prime Minister's office, started going around with the children. They find more happy. Right? When I looked at the meaning of layman, I found the Greek word laikos. It doesn't mean he is not a knowledgeable person. It means he represents people. Like in religious concept, I am also a spiritual man who speaks to multiple number of people on different PEs and religious conferences, in which laity is a word which is used close to lay man in clergyman's textbook, and it says you are a knowledgeable person, a wiser person, but do not belong to that clergy group. That means you need to be not a doctor and not a participant. And another best method probably I should look at is, we're all talking about research. I also happen to be a mathematician who did something on fluid mechanics. In mathematics, we keep saying research is what? Knowing more and more about less and less, right? And in maths, what we say is more and more is infinity and less goes to zero. That is nothing. That means you know many things about nothing. Okay. So naturally you will become blind. You will blind to the point. And that is what happens. I have a lot of great professors who knows only the subject, and they are called experts, right? That means once upon a time he was a pert, and he retired as a pert and became expert. So research always makes you as an expert. I have never become an expert in any subject. I left when I almost became an expert, and then continued to be pert in different subjects. I also learned a little bit of anatomy, pharmacology. You wonder why? Because I'm a psychotherapist. So I have a MS in psychology. So I learned all these subjects. And my subject, fluid mechanics, talks about blood flows in arteries. So I go to medical colleges to teach about biomedicine, biomechanics and all that. Now come to the point, what is Dharma? The one book which codifies all the dharmic Sanatana Dharma, which is our Bharatiya Dharma, in which Sanatanam is Nitya Nutanam and Chirapuradhanam. Nitya Nutanam means the most modern, and Chirapuradhanam means the oldest of the oldest. both joins in India because we have never lost our tradition. If you look at Babylonia, Mesopotamia, you go and Google, you will never see that. But you go and Google Bharat, still you will see this. So Bharata Vamsham is a great country and still existing because Sanatana Dharma is full of ethics. And what is that ethics? There are two concerns. My Guru keeps saying, my Guru Brahmashri KPC Anajan Bhattaripad from Kerala, he says Sanatana Dharma is two aspects. One is Ishta and the another one is Purta. One is Ishta. Ishta means for my favorite aspect. And if you look at all the traditional rituals which you do, go to a temple and do puja, it's for you. And that will give you Ishtate Lapade Sorgam. You can go to Sorga. But our aim is not Sorga, our aim is Moksha. Purte Moksham Avapniyat. That means do something for the society, then you can get Moksha. So it's clearly mentioned. All your research ultimately has to gain you some benefit. But if that benefit is for temporary purpose, you enjoy, but later you will think, oh, I should not have done it. That means you can never be in bliss. Self-actualization doesn't happen, you don't get into moksha. So dharma is a swadharma, and there is a professional dharma which you are into. I am also an LLB, so I cannot lie anywhere. I can only lie when I go to the court, right? So swadharma is that there is a professional dharma, and there is a society dharma, and there is a national dharma, rashtra dharma, and also you have got an international global dharma. If you don't stick to the global dharma, what you do may not be right. See, a lot of clinical experiments are done in India, but we must understand Europe and America is the maximum clinical research happens there. And they do much more. If you talk about, see, for example, Dr. Lalita was talking about genomes. See, we have maximum GM foods, but the problem is much more GM foods are available in America, but they write it is a GM food. In India, what happens is we don't know which is GM food, which is not a GM food. So that means we don't document, we don't write it, we don't specify, we don't educate the users. So unless you educate the users, what you do is clearly wrong. That is where probably the maximum presentations while I'm sitting, I've seen only on documentations. Right? When you do something, you can do justice. What is justice? Justice is always don't make somebody to suffer. That means you don't torture somebody. Don't become cruel. You can become inhuman for temporary purpose, but later it should have some benefit for a larger human society, because without experiments you can't do anything. I've been part of many of the pharmaceutical companies in Hyderabad, so I teach there at different parts. So I know what happens. We also experiment on animals. That's also cruel, right? But that doesn't mean there is a better benefit of tomorrow. So you need to understand what is the ultimate cause. Without that, you cannot do. Last year, almost the same time in November, I was there in North Bengal University in Siliguri, right? And I was talking about the ethics of war. Now I am talking about the ethics of research, right here. So ethics of war, why war is required? Is there ethics in that? I was part of RO in the government of India. I was with the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. So we talk about the international politics, the geopolitics, and then we speak why this war is happening. Is there any ethics? Can we justify the war? Yes, for those people who fight, there is a cause and there is a reason. And every purpose is only with some suffering at some point of time. So the ethics of war, last year, same time in West Bengal, I was talking about the same topic. I'll understand you have a justice to come for some society, not who are suffering because of somebody's injustice. And that is what happened in the Mahabharata war also. See, Mahabharata war is a great dharmic war. Dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre, dharma kshetre, 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 dharmam kuru. That is where the kuru dharma is. Do we have to agree that or not is a question. It is not what we learn in the conferences, learn in the classrooms, make us to do what we learn. What we learn is not what we practice. It is extra effort of understanding the ethics behind the SOP, what you're talking about. We should know why we are doing it. WWWWH, why, where, when, how, where, in front of whom we are doing also matters, right? So here, Dharmaputra and Duryodhana, two extreme people were fighting. They were all under the same professor. Professor Shantanu was talking to them, teaching them, but one learned ethics and the another one did not learn. One learned Dharma Shastra, another did not learn. And mother kept on calling Duryodhana and asked, why is my son, why are you not like your cousin brothers? Look at them. And the reason only was, Janami Dharmam, I know what is Dharma. Dharma is ethics. Janami Adharmam, I know what is not Adharma also. What is not to be done also I know. I know Dharma, I know Adharma. But why? Kenapi kamena hridistidena yada niyuktosi tatha karomi. I am blind with my desire. And that desire makes me to do so many bad things. And that is why even today we say Duryodhana is a bad fellow, Dharmaputra is a good fellow. And why Dharmaputra and Duryodhana became good and bad, though they were from same family? They studied in same college, same professor taught to them. And the reason is, Dharmaputra always had Krishna as a advisor. But whereas Duryodhana always had Shakuni. Where is Shakuni from? Shakuni is from Kandahar, Gandhar Naresh. Therefore, it says if somebody is from Afghanistan, be careful. They may become bad when you have bad company, right? So, we have a great knowledge to be understood. Why we become so blind? The blind because I want the whole benefit of what I am doing. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. Don't add your consciousness, your benefit as the ultimate goal. You are only responsible for doing the job. Karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. It doesn't mean that I don't get my salary if I work, But ultimate aim is that everybody need not get a benefit out of my lecture in my class, but some of them make it. That depends on their karma also. So you have to understand whatever I am doing, the ethics of me is not important. To whom I am giving is more important. You must do the job for a better purpose, knowing who is going to get the benefit out of it. If that is not there, most of the education what we give could also get wrong. That is where we have this problem. That is where the politics plays a role. That is where the concept of understanding each other, relating to what we are doing, all that becomes entirely different. I understand most of the ethics and the dharma comes into question when there is a conflict of interest, whether it's my interest, whether it's a common interest. It always says you have a common interest. Ena kena prakarena yasya kasyabi dehinaha sandosham janayat pratna tadevam ishvara pujanam. Whatever I do, if there is a better cause for a large group of people, what I am doing is considered as a deva puja. So we are from a world where everything what we do have got a concept of bhakti inside that, a concept of devotion inside that, concept of passion inside that. Don't become blind. Keep your eyes open, keep the conflict in mind, understand where, what, when, how I must do. And I guess that is the deliberation which happened here. And I wish that will be the message which the conference can give. I don't think generally people call it as conference, but I generally don't attend the conferences because I don't like to have conferences. I want unconferencing. So everybody has to unconference your mind, because what somebody says you need not accept it as it is. You should have vimarshena. You think about what is to be done. Yateshchati tataguru. What you think is right is what is to be done. And that ability will come only when you listen to different ideas. And conference is not giving one idea. Conference is giving many ideas. And that is where you have your knowledge to decide what is good and what is wrong. And what is good for you need not be good for everybody else. So that realization, if you have, I'm sure you are educated, you are wonderful, and wish you a great life for serving the humanity. And I can't stop remembering one of the poet who said, who is a doctor is one, Vaidya Kena Namastubhyam. A Vaidya salutation to you. Yama Raja Sahodara. You are the brother of Yama. You know who is Yama, right? Who takes prana.
Jagannath.
Know this?
Yamaraj.
Yamaraj. Yama Haradu me prana. Yama will take life. But Vaidya Dhananija. After that they will also give bill. Okay. So we are all people who are working with life, serving life. Don't become that brother of Yama. And I'm sure that should be the ultimate ethics. And that prevail in this world, because we live in a world of Dharma Shastra. Thank you, Namaskaram, and I must thank Dr. Shantanu for inviting me. Thank you, JMIS, for hosting me. Thank you so much. God bless you.
In a special school in the nearby town was thrown out of the school for being a bad student. He passed secondary education from his village school with just second class. From Pioneer College, he passed pre-degree university equivalent to present day 11th and 12th standard in second class. He started valuing education from his degree time and later had many feathers in his hat with MSc, MPhil, PhD, LLB, MBA, MS. Thus, he himself is an example of how an average student could transform into a knowledgeable man with number of degrees. Dr. TPS's philosophy in life is flow like a river and grow like a tree. He enjoys the storm and fall in life, what we term as struggle. Like a fallen tree rising to the next day's sunrise, keep growing in your life. According to him, every moment is an opportunity and not missing those opportunities is what gives success. And creating a lot of such successes in life is the credit one must take into account. Dr. TPS worked as a scientist in Space Department for 2 decades since 1989. He was the director of UGC Academic Staff College at Kolkata University in Kerala and went on to serve as a deputy director of Directorate General of Security, Cabinet Secretary at New Delhi before taking a voluntary retirement in 2009. He continued with government, he would have reached high position, but he opted against it as he always had an inner passion to teach and to show direction to the otherwise directionless youths of today's generation. He also had short tenure as Professor of Management at JNTU, Hyderabad, as an Executive Director in an engineering college under Kannur University, and as a CSR education consultant with Shova Developers. Dr. TPS also conducts teacher training sessions as he believed that teachers are the ones who make tomorrow's citizens. He teaches them what is students. Dr. TPS is always available for students for any questions. He has over 60 blogs for the benefit of those who went to learn, acquire knowledge. His passion for life, as he defined life as learning is investment for future learning, live or learn in full enjoyment. It has made him to author books like Life Made Simple, Life of Love, Life is to Live, Life Reflections, etc. His books are so close to heart that those who read them will find solutions in all problems, highly motivational and grievance redressing tips. Parents and teachers do approach Dr. TPS for their individual, family, professional, and social solutions. He is a true life coach to raise students with high aspirations and direct them towards knowledge. A few books from him is in this direction are Makers of India and Civil Services Prelim Handbooks. So he has a huge the CV, you can say, what we call. But then listening to him makes us understand that his depth of knowledge, his depth of understanding life and values, and we are really privileged to have him here today amongst us. And thank you very much, sir, for your kind words and the messages that you have given. We'll take them through in our march to our life. And nice. It was very, very apt, I think, for our conference, which is actually the central theme of which is ethics, research ethics. With this, I thank you once again, sir, to be sharing your time.